Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I didn't know what I could talk to you about, so I decided to share with you some tips on how I stay productive during my work days. How rude of me, I didn't introduce myself. I work in tech in Germany right now as a front-end developer. I have more than 5 years experience and my focus right now is accessibility. So let's dive into it. Of course, I also don't always have everything under control and my working day is not ideal, but still I was thinking back about my experience as a front-end developer and I thought about what advice I could give to someone who just started his career or to someone maybe in another field and not only tech. First of all, I thought what advice I could give to myself when I started my journey 5 years ago. So let's dive into it. First thing that I want to share with you is that you need to plan. Yes, don't rush and don't jump into writing code at the same moment when you received a new task. Yeah, it might sound a little bit strange because we developers are thought to be paid for writing code, but I am pretty sure that you saw many memes where actually the most time of the day of developer consists of thinking, planning, and only in the end writing few lines of code. I remember myself back there and I remember how I tried to finish task as fast as possible and I rushed into it and I tried from the very beginning to write code. But in the end, if you don't think through it very carefully, then such thing can happen that, for example, after some days, product manager comes to you and says, oh, you know what, I think that we should change this feature that you implemented and we want it to be connected to some another feature, or, I don't know, implement it in a different way. It's better when you already thought about such cases and also talked about such situations with your team lead, manager or product manager, whoever you can talk to, and you thought about codes that you're going to write, you planned it, and you plan the structure. For example, if it's some features that can be also reused, then it's better to implement it in a generic way so that other team members or you yourself could reuse it in the future. So again, to sum up, first tip, don't rush into writing code, plan structure, plan your logic very thoroughly, and talk to your team members that have more experience, for example, and they could advise you in what way you should better split your code. And that's it. This saves you time and also prevents mistakes. The next one is also connected to the first one, I think. It's splitting your big tasks to smaller tasks. It also might sound strange, but believe me, when you receive a huge feature or a huge bug to fix or huge any other task, it's just going to overwhelm you. That's why it's better to also to sit a little bit, to take few moments and to divide this huge feature into small tasks. And then it's not going to be so scary. That also is going to help you to understand maybe there are some situations or some parts where you have a feeling that it's going to be very problematic to implement. For example, if you work as a front-end developer, then you might understand that you need some backend support. So yeah, it's also going to help you to understand if additional tasks are needed and you can talk about it to your team members, team lead, team manager, and so on. The third one is prioritize your tasks. Of course, we all work in the atmosphere where everything should have been done yesterday. So just take few moments again and think about what is going to be more urgent and more important for the project. So for example, if you receive, 3 tasks and one of them is just to change a color of button is there. The project is still going to work and it doesn't matter what color it has. Right in this moment. And that's why this task can wait. So it's already going to be in the back of your list. Another task, for example, you received a bug and when person clicks on something and the whole page crashes. This is already a little bit more important, but still, for example, it can wait because if the user didn't click on this button, then everything still works. But it's already on the second place. And for example, you received a third task which says that page doesn't work. I don't know, maybe you added some feature and it wasn't tested good, or there were some changes in database. Anything can happen and the whole page now doesn't work anymore. That's the biggest problem and the most urgent one, so you need to prioritize it as the first thing. The next one is communication. Communication not only with your team members and with your managers, but also with clients. That's how you also can prioritize better. So for example, I didn't work before Germany really close to clients, so I didn't communicate with them. I communicated only with team members and my managers. But now in Germany, I also have a little bit different look at the whole development process, because we also have to talk to our clients, and that's how actually you can prioritize your task in the best way. Because if you see that, for example, you implemented feature and everything works perfectly, but then, like in my case, you need to also make it accessible, and you see that you achieved it in 90%, but there is some drop down or button or something small that actually you understand that you need to change many things in order to make it accessible. And then you can talk to your project manager and also to the client and explain him the situation. And for example, you can come to common solution and, for example, split this task and take this accessibility problem to one another separate task. You can finish this feature, which is, for example, really important for a client, and after some time you can continue working on this button or accessibility problem or anything else that didn't work good from the very beginning. So I understand that sometimes it's really difficult for example, junior developers or for us women to communicate, because we think that other people are going to think that we are stupid or that we don't know something or we can't finish tasks that we've been given. But no, you shouldn't think in such way. Communication is very important. This is how you're going to improve your soft skills and your communication skills, and that's going to only to promote you in the future in your career. That's why it's very important to communicate and also to learn how to communicate. So for example, you are not just going to come to client and say, okay, this button doesn't work, I can't finish this feature and we need to do something with this. No, you plan what you're going to say to him, plan what you're going to say, like a small presentation with structure and with a solution. So you come already with solution to a client. Of course they are going to take it because you did a huge work for them. So yeah, just don't be afraid to communicate, to say what you think, and also don't be afraid to say what you feel about some features, because sometimes your inner voice from the very beginning tells you what is going to be hard to implement, what can go wrong. So if you have such thoughts, then it's better to talk about it. Even if it's not going to happen and if it's not true, then your team members are going to tell you, nah, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Again, it's better to speak up and tell everything that you think than to stay silent and then sit on some feature for 2 weeks or for the whole sprint and not to finish it. That's what clients and your managers are going to be really sad about. Next tip is learn how to use AI tools. I am also not a person that thinks that in the nearest future we are going to be replaced by AI. No, because it's still not perfect, and especially, for example, when you work with something that there is not so much documentation outside, then It's not going to help you very much. But you still need to learn how to work with AI tools, and it might sound a little bit strange, but still you need to learn how to work with ChatGPT. It's also connected to prioritizing, because I understand that, okay, why do I need to spend much time on some functions that I know that exists in the internet, and ChatGPT can write it for me. Of course, it's important if you're new in programming to understand it, and then it's another story. But for example, if you have already experience, for example, you need to write a function that filters some data by date. So don't do it by yourself. Just ask ChatGPT to do it and say what the data you have and what you expect. I try to use it a lot for implementing accessibility, for making some features accessible, because we have accessibility patterns which we need to follow. For example, I work in React and they are written in JavaScript. And it means that I need to go through all the logic and understand how I need to write it in React. It takes a lot of time. So instead of doing that, what I actually do, I just put this code into ChatGPT and ask it to rewrite it in React. And then I go through code in React because it's closer to my understanding, and understand what I need, what maybe I don't really need for now. And that's how I insert it into my code. Let AI handle all repetitive stuff and you can focus on more creative work. The next one is connected to focusing. Try to choose every day only not more than 3 tasks to accomplish. Especially when you have, for example, a backlog of 10, 20 and more tasks that again are all urgent and should have been done yesterday. So in order again not to get too overwhelmed and not to procrastinate, because when we are scared of something we try to push it away and not to start doing anything. Try to focus only on the 3 tasks. Of course, it should be realistic that you can accomplish it throughout your working day. If one of them is huge, then better to split it again into smaller tasks and focus on the 3 smaller tasks. And that's will keep you motivated. You will feel that you do accomplish things throughout your working day, and also that's going to be easier to document and also to present, for example, during daily on the next day. Another tip is to document and write down all the steps that you need to do. Again, it is also connected to splitting tasks into smaller ones, but in this way you're going to split these smaller tasks into even more smaller to-dos. Implement every step and then tick it. First of all, it will give you motivation to continue. And second of all, it will be easier for you to create commit notes in the end of the day. By the way, you should commit every day in the end of the day in order to not to lose and not to forget anything. And also it's going to help you to present your work after that, for example, during daily. And also it's going to help with my next tip, which is celebrate small achievements. If you solved some bug, celebrate it. If you implemented a huge feature, celebrate it. If you achieved some milestone or you found another bug and fixed it, celebrate it. In my case, when it's something huge, then we usually go out somewhere to drink beer, or we can have a nice dinner and drink wine. Or if it's something small, you can just buy yourself coffee or donut, I don't know, something that you usually don't do, but this time you're going really to feel that you achieved something, and your morale is going to be much higher and you are going to stay motivated and don't come to burnout. Because I know that many of us, we like, especially the achiever ones, we are like, okay, task, done. Okay, next one, done. Okay, next one. And we are like robots. We are just going through all the tasks and we go from one task to another task and we don't pay attention how many tasks we actually accomplish. That's really important. And especially it's very important to document everything that you achieved in order to talk after some time to your manager or when you have a feedback talk. Because then you can prove everything that you achieved. Please don't forget about documenting and celebrating your achievements, even small ones. And what I was talking is now smoothly coming into my next tip, which I already mentioned. Document your work. Especially when I was a junior, I didn't pay attention to it. I was like, task done. I did this, I did that, and that's it. But eventually, when you have, for example, feedback meetings with your managers, or if there are some, I don't know, it didn't happen to me, but I can imagine that there might be some problems, or people sometimes are fired for things that they didn't do. That's why it is very important to document everything and to keep it to yourself, and when it is needed to use it. So please be prepared to anything and be smarter than other people. The last tip is, in order to stay focused, you can work in phases. Of course, it is not suitable for everyone, and everyone is talking about Pomodoro technique. It doesn't work for me. I prefer my focus phases are a little bit longer. That's what I would talk to you about. You need to understand your focus phases. If you know that you can work for 30 minutes without distractions, do 30 minutes work and then, for example, 5 minutes break. For me, it works that I can work for 2 hours without distractions. Sometimes I put just some music or podcast, especially if the task is not so difficult and it's connected only to styling, for example, or to rewriting code, something like this. Understand your phases, and if you had your focus phase, then you should have break phase. And that's how you're also going to stay motivated and avoid burnout. And some bonus tip: when you have, for example, your break phase, then don't sit in front of your computer. Really take a break. It really helps. For example, for me, it's a little bit difficult because I don't smoke, and sometimes I envy people that smoke because they can go outside and really take a break. And for me, I need to find something else that could be done during my small breaks. So it can be anything. You can grab coffee, you can drink water, you can, go to the toilet. Anything, if you at some point really want to sit in front of your computers and switch tasks. And also you can do it actually not only during your breaks. So for example, if you understand that you got stuck and you can't move forward, then it's better to switch task. Even for a few hours, try to do something else. If you work on something that is connected to logic, to business logic, then work on something that is connected to styling, or something like this. It might not look so, but it's going to help your brain a little bit to switch and to relax. And after that, you kind of forget about problems that you have. And after that, when you return to this problem, you, in 99% of cases, you're going to get into solution. You're going to find a solution. And that's it. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please hit like button, subscribe to my channel for more technical lifestyle tips and insights. Also, if I missed something, then drop in the comments if you have some secret productivity hack. And that's it. Have a great day, and I see you in the next video. Tschüss!